In today's video, I'll be covering the most important considerations when building a product MVP. Welcome to my channel, Discover Product Management by Diana. MVP is a really powerful concept and way to build valuable products. Ultimately is the minimum amount of effort or the quickest way possible to validate the concept, an idea, or an assumption. So it is really valuable. So there's been MVP kind of came out of this transition from software building massive, having a list of massive requirements and then spending months building something that no one has ever checked whether the end user would find valuable. So one classic example of that type of methodology is Excel. Excel as a tool has a lot of features, but we know that as end users you only use a very small percentage of that. Now imagine every single company doing all those things and like building products that they thought they would be really useful, and actually when delivering them they wouldn't actually get the adoption that they were hoping for. Obviously agile methodology together is looking at that, but MVP is just one of the things in your tool set as a product manager, where you're able to take an idea and then work out the simplest solution you can come up with to be able to validate whether that is something that the end user will find valuable and whether this is the right approach that customers would actually adopt. So ultimately in today's video, I'll just be sharing 4 considerations for building MVPs. The first thing you want to do is to clearly define the problem you want to answer for your customers. When it comes to an MVP, you can also be looking at what is the assumption or the concept or the idea you want to define. The value of the MVP, the value of the MVP is to start giving you more clarity and understanding of the perception and the value you're going to add to customers. So generally you can apply building an MVP, you can apply this concept to more ambiguous statements or areas where you don't have as high confidence. For example, a few examples would be, we know that convenience is is quite a big opportunity. We know that customers really care about convenience, but you might want to validate whether your customers, for example, would want what value would customers put on extra delivery option. That is an option that obviously has worked for competition, but you want to validate what does that mean for you and if it's worth the investment of time or the investment of building the proper solution. So you can use an MVP to just test whether this is worth investing more engineering time in. Another idea would be if you wanted to test whether your customers would be open to a loyalty scheme and what value a loyalty scheme could bring to your company. Those are all quite big questions, and MVP helps you because it is a framework in which you can build something with low cost to answer the main business questions and to help you decide what to do next. So this is why it's really important to have that definition of the area of the concept, problem you want to solve, because that will help you keep focus on that. Now that you have your specific concept in mind, the second thing you need to do is define the right solution. Define the right approach for validating your questions. So, for example, when it comes to this, you could have 3 different approaches of like an MVP, because MVP is the smallest thing you can do. So the options are no product, product mockup, or 1 feature MVP. What this means is that, okay, so let's take the loyalty scheme. If you believe that will be valuable for your customers, maybe the first MVP is to just check whether there is enough interest from customers on that. So, for example, a no product, you could be looking at creating a landing page or creating a fake door test that would just give you or sending them a survey where you're literally able to like build something without engineering help and being able to share that with customers and ask. Of course, there are limitations, so this is why it's really important to know what specific questions you want to validate. If you want to validate if there's like interest in this, then you could do a survey. If you want to validate what type of loyalty scheme you want them to build. Then you might go into an MVP and be like, okay, this is the base of it. We want to validate this with data, and we need to do this as a scale with a lot more customers. And then you launch that, and then you will iterate on it. So this is why it's really important to have that and think creatively about the different approaches. But the clearer the problem, the more specific the solution is going to be. And then you'll define your right approach. The third part of building an MVP is going to be around defining your backlog. So let's say you went for a one feature MVP, so there is something you want to build on the website to make available to customers. Then you will take that, and you pretty much, the way I do it is you run a session with your engineering team and you map out the end-to-end journey of the customer. So what is the experience they're going to have for this in this MVP? And then you're able to map underneath the required pieces of work, because I think the part of it is like you want to have that view so that you can prioritize what is required. One way to prioritize this list of features is to look at the MOSCO method. MOSCO stands for must have, should have, could have, will not have, because it's like a method to prioritize between those. Again, it just goes back to like the minimum amount of features you need. I believe that going through this exercise is quite valuable if you do it as a team. I think a part of just having this MVP culture successful is to make sure that everyone in the team is involved. I think it's really good to bring obviously your engineering team, but also bring your stakeholders in. You know, throughout the whole process, make sure you have everyone there. I think it's really good to build the culture of challenging. Is this really required? Do we need this in the first phase? You know, because you don't want to invest too much time in building something that customers might not adopt or customers might not want. The fourth consideration is around having clear defined success criteria. The whole point of the MVP is to answer that question, and also you want to have the right tracking in place, and you want to have the right measures to know where's the MVP successful, what success looks like. Do you have a certain target for the adoption? If, let's say, you launch a new feature, is 5% of customers using it enough? Do you want it to be 50%? Having this clear criteria is going to help you know how to iterate your MVP. In summary, the most important considerations for an MVP are clear defined problem space, deciding on the right approach that's going to bring value with the lowest amount of effort. Once you have your approach, map that out and decide on the core set of requirements, core set of features. And then the fourth one is going to be clear defined success metrics that will really help you validate what success looks like. Hope you found this useful. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more product manager tips. Bye.